Hey y'all, welcome back to another video. Now, I want to preface this video, okay, by telling you I know nothing about investing. That is not my forte, okay? The whole point of this series is to help you all understand what Yah says about money because that is something that seems to be like either it's something overwhelming, it's something taboo that people don't want to talk about, it's something that people just shy away from because they don't know enough about it, you know. And we do know that the word says the love of money is the root of all evil, but money is not evil. And throughout this series, we have talked about, the different facets of money in our lives. So today we're going to talk about generational wealth, investing, saving, all that good stuff. But I'm not going to give tips on any of that because I do not have that kind of information. At the end of this video, I will put up on the screen resources that you can find. I will not leave links for them. I'm sorry, y'all. Just take a screenshot. Just take a screenshot of the resources that I have personally used. I'm not going to put up anything that I have not personally used. Everything I have personally used, like podcasts and books and things like that, uh, I would put that up as far as like investing and saving and all of that. But let's get into the video. So, the first scripture I have comes from Proverbs 13, verse 22. A good man leaves an inheritance to his children's children, but the wealth of the sinner is stored up for the righteous. Now, here's the thing when it comes to generational wealth, right? Because that's what it's saying. Inheritance to his children's children, which means not just the children from his loins, but the children that they have, and so on. So in the Bible, we see that people left they left money and stock and acres and all that for their children's children, right? We don't do that today, right? And if people do have inheritance for their children, they're typically of a particular race. Now, that's not to say that other races don't do the same thing, but it's not something that is common, which is so wild to me because, that's what the word says. Like, literally, it says, a good man leaves an inheritance to his children's children. Here's the problem I'm a millennial. We're in debt. So, the majority of us our children will be lucky to get, a certain amount of money, like $10. Okay, maybe not that, insignificant amount, but um, what I'm saying is a lot of us are in debt, right? My generation, the generation after me, the generation that came before me, we're in debt, right? Nobody is really able to leave their children money unless they came from money or unless they were able to dig themselves out of debt and make money for themselves. 9 times out of 10, our children's children are not going to have money, right? I'm not speaking that over us because, at the end of the day, y'all could do something different in your life. I always pray about my finances, always pray about finance, not to have more money, but just to be a good steward over my finances so that I can at least leave my son something, right? Because leaving him, uh, a business or a house or something like that is not a goal of mine. But my thing is, I don't want my son to ever have to financially struggle. So, one thing that I know that a lot of Black families don't have is life insurance policies. Now, life insurance policies, that is another way to build generational wealth. And let me explain because when someone dies, right, and they have a bunch of debt and they have no money, right, their life insurance policy first pays off the debt that that person left behind. And now, mind you, depending on how much the life insurance policy is, and depending on how much debt they have, that money could go to whoever their beneficiary is It could be a lot of money that a lot of money that goes to them, or it could be nothing that goes to them. But the life insurance policy helps to pay for anything that you leave behind, whether it's debts to pay for a funeral costs, the casket, burial, all of that. But the thing is, you want that life insurance policy to set up your beneficiary. Now, if this, I'm speaking specifically of children, not spouses. For your children, you want that life insurance policy to kind of set them up to where they don't have to really worry about anything when it comes to, oh, if you have debts or anything like that. You should try your best to pay your debts off so that's more money that they can get. That can be a way to create generational wealth is through a life insurance policy. If you don't make a whole lot of money, if you don't have um, a savings or anything like that, then that's one way to kind of start creating generational wealth. Now, granted, I would hope that you instilled in your children, you know, financial literacy so that they don't go blow it all. But the life insurance policy is going to help so much so that they don't have to worry about anything financially when it comes to after you pass, you know. And the thing is, a pre-need would help too. A pre-need is basically you have everything set up and basically paid for when you die. So that life insurance policy that all of that money could go to your children, right? I know there are some people, specifically speaking about the Black community because that is the community that I am a part of. I will always speak about that community. Not too familiar with what they do in other communities. But I know in the Black community, a lot of people want to become entrepreneurs because they want to hand over a business to their children, right? Want to create this business. They want to create this business and hand it over to their children. That is great in theory. But what if your child doesn't want to do that business? What if they don't want to take on the family business? What if that's not their dream? What if that's not something that y'all wants them to do? Then what are you going to do? That business is going to die. And I would hope that that business did well financially. So that way, if the child does not want to take over the business, they can sell it to somebody else. And that can also help to create generational wealth. But you have to understand too, you can't force a business onto your child, especially if that's not something that they want to do. Now, generational wealth is very hard in the Black community because we don't have wealth. And what's crazy is we have an astronomical buying power, but we don't have wealth. Why? Partially, well, mainly because of the curse that we're under, according to Deuteronomy, but also a lot of us don't have financial literacy. We were not raised talking about savings and investing and, how to manage your money. Money was not talked about in a lot of Black households. It was never talked about. It was like, that's not your business. Stay in a child's place. However, that is a problem when it comes to us millennials because here we are 18, going to college, getting these student loans, not realizing that, oh, you're putting yourself in a bind by getting these student loans instead of trying to figure out, like, hey, maybe I should go to community college where I could pay out of pocket so I don't have student loans. That way, when I do find a job, that money is more money that I can save, right? And it's not money that I have to pay back, right? Because as far as how much money we make per hour, depending on what kind of job we have, we still make less than someone of a different race who's in the same position, right? So, generational wealth is something that we should be striving towards for our children. And in another video, I'm going to talk about, the different people in the Bible who had generational wealth, but the topic of that video is just different. But a good man leaves an inheritance to his children. Don't leave debt to your children. Don't leave, you know, debt. Don't leave a burden. Don't leave anything that's going to make the grieving process of your death even harder for your children. Leave them something. Leave them some money. Leave them some land. They may not want the land, but they can sell it and make a profit off of it, right? but the wealth of a sinner is stored up for the righteous. So, for a person who is a sinner and they become wealthy, well, what happens a lot of times? They lose that money, right? And where does that money go? It can go to somebody else. It can go to charity. It can go to someone, like, for example, if somebody is rich, right? They have a house, they lose all their money, their house is foreclosed. That expensive house in foreclosure costs significantly less than what that person paid for. And therefore, a righteous person would be able to buy that house. That's just one example, right? But there's many ways that you can take that, right? So, generational wealth. And the thing is, a person who is a sinner, they're going to lose all their money. So, there's not going to be any generational wealth for their children or their children's children. There's not going to be anything left because they've been spent it all, they've been gambled it all. Like, these pyramid schemes or these, different types of investments, that they think it's going to be oh so good, and then it turns out you lost every cent that you put into that investment. First Timothy 6:17 through 19. Charge those who are rich in this present age not to be high minded. Do not boast. Just because you have more money than most people, don't boast about it, nor to trust in the uncertainty of riches. Do not put your faith in riches. And here's the thing, when it comes to investing, and I'm telling you right now, this is not advice. When it comes to investing, a lot of people don't understand investing and it ends up being gambling, right? They hear someone say, oh, I put this much money into this stock, or I invest this much money into this company. And what happened? They lose all the money, right? Because they don't understand what investing is. They're putting all their faith in this person who has said, I made all this money investing in this particular stock. Not even knowing if that person actually invested in that particular stock, and whatever picture or photograph or whatever graphic they're showing is not even real. So don't trust in the uncertainty of riches. When it comes to investing, there's a high uncertainty rate because the stock market is always fluctuating, always. But in the living Elohim who gives us richly all for enjoyment, right? To do good, to be rich in good works, to be generous, ready to share, right? So here's the thing, when you are giving to other people, I don't know if you know, but that is a form of investing. No, you don't get anything on a return, but the thing is, you're investing in someone's betterment of themselves. There's different types of investing. There's investing like in a stock market, you get a percentage rate, or you putting your money in a high yield savings account, and you're getting a percentage rate on interest, or you have a 401k, that grows and everything like that. But you can also invest in other people. You can invest your time. You can invest money in them. You can invest when you give to them. You can just invest in other people, right? To be generous and ready to share with others. That is the same as investing, storing up for themselves a good foundation for the time to come. So, now, this is about saving, but it's also about what you do in this lifetime, what you invest in, whether it be your time, your money, whatever. If it is something that is good works, you are investing and storing up for yourself good things for the time to come, like during the tribulation. You're investing in your place in the kingdom. You're storing up your place, right? You're saving now, right? By doing your good works and helping others and things like that, doing what Yah said, all that He commanded, you're saving. You're saving your space. You're investing, and you're going to get a good return on your investment when you make it into that kingdom, right? So they lay hold on everlasting life, and that's what comes with the kingdom, everlasting life. You're investing your time right now in doing the works of our Father for everlasting life. Okay? Now, what does that look like with money? It could look like a 401k, right? You're investing now, so much percentage of your money from your job goes to this 401k. It's collecting interest, and when it comes time for you to retire, you have this money that you can live off of. It's not the same thing, but a little similar, right? You're investing towards a future event. You're investing right now towards something that's going to happen in the future. If you do everything that you're supposed to do, you can, at my job, I can change the percentage of how much goes to my 401k, right? So a lot of jobs you can do that. So I'm investing now so that when it comes time for retirement, I have money, right? I have something. I have a treasure. I'm setting the foundation right now with my 401k and investing, and hopefully in the coming years, I'm able to increase it so that, and when it comes time for me to retire, I will have a good chunk of money to retire off of. First Corinthians 16, verse 2. Every day, one of the week, let each one of you set aside, storing up whatever he has prospered, so that there are no collections when I come. Now, the context of this story, this is Paul, right? He's telling the people to store up, not necessarily just money, but like it could be like food, anything like that, so that when he comes, he doesn't have to go around trying to collect from people. It'll already be there. Now, how does this pertain to us when it comes to money? When you get paid, where it says every day, one of the week, each paycheck, set aside some money, right? Set aside a certain amount, right? And put that in a savings account. Just put it in a savings account. I know that a lot of times high yield savings accounts, you have to keep a certain amount of money in there. I know for my bank, for high yield savings accounts, you have to keep at minimum $1,000 in there. So some banks vary, and I'm getting to the point where I can set aside each paycheck some money to put in there, right? Because there's going to come a time where it could be I have an emergency and I don't have to try to scramble to try to find where am I going to get this money from. Like Paul is saying, I don't have to go to each person and collect whatever it is that I need. So when you set aside money from your paycheck into a savings account, and make sure that the interest rate on it is really high. I can't remember how much the interest rate on mine is, but make sure that you are setting money aside into this savings account for a rainy day, for anything. There's all types of emergencies that happen. We get blindsided all the time by something breaking, right? Car breakdown, get a flat tire, the AC goes out either in your house or in your car, the water heater bursts, um, your kid has to go to the emergency room, all types of emergencies that we don't see coming. That's part of life, right? But if you're not setting money aside for that emergency, then what are you going to do? You're scrambling trying to figure out how are you going to pay for this? How? And I know that in this day and age, with the way how cost of living is high, groceries are high, it is hard to set money aside. But that is why you should budget. Whether you do it on a piece of paper in a notebook, get a budget planner, use an Excel spreadsheet, have something to where you are budgeting your paycheck. Write down your expenses. And I may do a video on how to set a budget. We will see, y'all willing. But sit down and make a budget. How much money is coming in from all sources of income per month, right? My income is not fixed, so my paychecks vary. I get paid twice a month, and I also have side hustles, and they all go to different accounts, but I still take account into how much money I'm making per month. I write down all of my bills, everything that I have to pay, and I total that up, and then I compare that to how much money I'm making per month. I'm like, okay, and then I make a budget for how much I want to spend on groceries, about how much I'm going to spend on gas, you know, and I total that up. And whatever money is left over after I've done that goes to savings. right? And the thing is, keep track of all of your expenses, the things that you spend on outside of your household expenses, right? Anything else like Amazon, going to get coffee, going to Starbucks, going out to eat, all that type of stuff, that's excess stuff, right? Take account of your expenses. I write down every single penny that comes out of all of my accounts, including my credit card that I have, right? I pay that off each month, but I still use it because it helps my credit score, right? And I get rewards points. So I take that into account. And I make sure that if there's money left over, that goes to my savings. I'm setting it aside because I'm about to move soon. And I'm just like, I am so thankful that I have this savings so that I can pay to move because moving is not free, it's not cheap, right? So I knew that was coming up. So setting aside money each paycheck, however often you get paid, it could be bi weekly, it could be monthly, it could be weekly, it can be, if you have side hustles, all of that. But set aside money that goes into your savings for any type of emergency so you're not scrambling when something happens, right? Let's get into a parable that Yahusha gave. He said, "For it is like a man going from home who called his own servants and delivered his possessions to them," right? So he's giving them all his possessions, right? Because he's leaving. He's going away for a while, and he was like, "Hey, I need y'all to take care of this." So into one, he gave 5 talents, into another 2, into another 1, to each according to his own ability, and went from home. So he left. So he gave them talents based on their own ability, right? To do whatever they can with it. So I'm assuming that he knew like what they could and could not do. He knew what they would and would not do. Now, granted, this story is talking about, this parable is talking about how we are all given a purpose on earth, right, according to our ability, because God knows what our abilities are. And so he's given us each talents, right, our purpose for being here on this earth and what we're supposed to do, and making sure that we fulfill whatever that is, right? And so he gives them each talents. Now, according to money, this is what it could be. You're given a certain amount of money at your job, right? And you have money, you know you're budgeting, and you know that, hey, I have this much money left over. What should I do with it? Right? So you're being a good steward over the money that you're making from your job. That's what we're going to equate this to. So you're given money, the talents is going to equal how much money you make from your job, right? And he who had received the 5 talents went and worked with them and made another 5 talents. So he flipped it, right? He used what he had to go and make some more money, right? This could be talking about investing. We can equate this to investing, right? You have some money that is not going to anything. It's not, attached to a bill or anything. It's like invest it, right? Don't just let it sit there, because what is the money going to do? Nothing if it's just sitting there, right? Put it in a savings account that has interest. That's a good interest rate. Find a company, do some research on what investing is and how the best way to go about it is. What companies are good to invest in. Learn how the stock market works, right? In the same way, he with two also he gained 2 more. So he doubled his investment, right? This man who gave them the talents, they're doubling the investment that he gave them, right? Think of it like somebody who's starting a business and they go out and ask for investors to invest in the business, right? These investors invest so much money into the business, and the business does well, they like sometimes may double or triple the profits of the investment, right? But he who had received the one went away and dug in the ground and hid the silver of his master. So this man gave him this money. He did absolutely nothing with it. He dug a hole and put it in the ground and did absolutely nothing with it. This is like making money and just letting it sit. What happens? You end up spending it, right? It's best to invest it or put it in a savings account. Okay? So what happens? And after a long time, the master of those servants came and he settled accounts with them. Now, granted, yes, this is talking about Judgment Day, right? When we face the Father face to face, he's like, so I put you on this earth. What did you do with your time? Right? But in this case, comes back and he's like, hey, and he who had received 5 talents came and brought 5 other talents, saying, Master, you delivered to me 5 talents. See, I have gained 5 more talents besides them. So he did good on his investment. And his master said to him, well done, good and trustworthy servant. You were trustworthy over a little, I shall set you over much. The little that he had, he stewarded it well and doubled the profit. Enter into the joy of your master. Then he who had received 2 talents came and said, Master, you delivered to me 2 talents. See, I have gained 2 more talents besides them. His master said to him, well done, good and trustworthy servant. You were trustworthy over little, I shall set you over much. Enter into the joy of your master. And the one who had received the 1 talent also came and said, Master, I knew you to be a hard man, reaping where you have not sown. You didn't work for this, right? Why would I go out here and invest when you didn't work for it? And gathering where you have not scattered seed. And being afraid, I went and hid your talent in the ground. See, you have what is yours. So he's telling his master, you gave me 1 talent. Why should I go out here and make more and give you something that you did not work for? Right? And that's like us saying, oh, God put us on this earth. Why should I do anything for him? For what? Right? But the thing is, when we are given a job and we are making money, that money should be doing something, right? Not just us spending frivolously, because what's the point? And think about it. He only had he only had a little bit of money. And that's the thing. People think that because they don't make a whole lot of money, they can't invest, right? They can't save. If you only make a little bit of money, like this man only had 1 talent, and you invest that little bit, over time, it will make more money. But you have to be patient, right? You have to work for it. You have to learn about what investing means and how to invest properly. The same thing with saving. Just because you don't make a whole lot of money does not mean you can't save. It could be $5 a paycheck, it could be $10. And as you get better at budgeting and realizing how much money you do have, you can increase the amount that you save, or you can increase the amount that you invest. But you shouldn't just have money just sitting there doing absolutely nothing. That's just like Yah putting you on this earth and you do absolutely nothing with your time here. And his master answering said to him, you wicked and lazy servant, you knew that I reap where I have not sown and gather where I have not scattered seed. Then you should have put my silver with the bankers, and at my coming I would have received back my own with interest. Okay? I used to think that you are not supposed to um, invest money, right? There's so many things I've had to like learn from the world about money, right? I'm like, I don't know if I'm supposed to invest. How do I invest? I read these books, and the thing is like, no, Yah tells me that I am supposed to invest. That I'm not just supposed to have this money sitting here. That I myself am not just supposed to be sitting here, right? There's different things that I can invest in, and not just talk about money. Like I said before, invest my time, invest my talents, invest my efforts, invest my knowledge. There's different ways that I can invest outside of money. But with money, I should also be trying to invest. And it says, therefore, take away the talent from him and give it to him who possesses 10 talents, right? Because if you have money that's just sitting there, again, you can lose it, right? You can end up spending it all because you're like, I don't know what to do with this money. It's just sitting there. Let me go spend it and go buy something. You don't know what to do with it. That's like rich people who have all this money and they're like, I have all this money. What am I supposed to do with all of this? They spend it and they lose it all. Instead of investing it, saving it, giving to charity, right? There's different things that they could do. For to everyone who possesses, more shall be given, and he shall have overflowingly. But from him who does not possess, even what he possesses shall be taken away. And throw the worthless servant out into the outer darkness. There shall be weeping and gnashing of teeth. And that's talking about the lake of fire. But again, with investing, y'all, with your money, don't just have money sitting there. Don't. Because it's not doing anything, but just sitting there, collecting dust, waiting to be used, right? The best way to make a return on your investment is to invest. Luke 19, verse 12. He therefore said, a certain nobleman went to a distant country to receive for himself a rain and to return. And calling 10 of his servants, he gave them 10 minas and said to them, trade until I come. Right? Trade. Here's some money. Trade. Make more money while I'm gone. Right? But his subjects were hating him and sent a delegation after him to say, we do not wish this one to reign over us. And it came to be when he came back, having received the rain, that he sent for these servants to whom he had given the silver in order to know what each had gained by trading. Now, I don't know anything about trading. I don't know what trading is. I've heard of day trading. Don't know what that is. I will look into that and see what that's about. But obviously, Yah is saying that we can trade. And the first came, saying, Master, your mina has earned 10 minas. And he said to him, well done, good servant, because you were trustworthy in a small matter, have authority over 10 cities. Think of how much 10 cities. Now, this is very similar to the parable in Matthew, but 10 cities. He's gained so much just by trading what he had. And I believe that trading is similar to investing, but if you make good investments, you will get good return on your investments. And that's what we see here. And the second came saying, Master, your mina has earned 5 minas. And he said to him also, and you be over 5 cities. And another one came saying, Master, here is your mina, which I kept laid up in a handkerchief. For I was afraid of you, because you are a hard man. You take up what you did not lay down, and reap what you did not sow. Same thing as in the parable with Matthew. Like, why would I do this? Why would I, take this money that you give me? Why would I make you more when you didn't work for it? And then I have to give it to you. But he just lost out on his return on his investment, right? He just lost out on a reward. And he said to him, out of your own mouth I shall judge you, you wicked servant. You knew that I was a hard man, taking up what I did not lay down, and reaping what I did not sow. Why did you not put the silver in the bank, that when I came I could have collected it with interest? Then he said to those who stood by, take the mina from him and give it to him who possesses 10 minas. But they said to him, Master, he already possesses 10 minas. For I say to you, that to everyone who possesses shall be given, and from him who does not possess, even what he possesses shall be taken away from him. What you are given, do not give it back without interest. The thing is, with investing, it takes time and it takes patience and it takes knowledge. Investing is not something that happens overnight. You don't gain overnight. I know there are a lot of like investing gurus who say, oh, I made this amount of money overnight. Oh, I made this amount of money overnight. All they're trying to do is take your money. That's it. They're only trying to take your money. Proverbs 23 and 23. Buy the truth and do not sell it. Wisdom and discipline and understanding. That is what the truth is. Wisdom, discipline, understanding. We need to have wisdom, discipline, and understanding about what to do with money when it comes to investing, when it comes to saving, when it comes to generational wealth. Once you gain those things, wisdom, discipline, and understanding, give it to others for free. It says, buy the truth, do not sell it. Okay? Once you gain these things from, what you have learned through trial and error, don't sell it to other people. Give it to them. If you have gained wisdom, discipline, understanding about how to save, share that with other people. If you have gained wisdom, discipline, understanding about how to invest or trade or create generational wealth, give that to other people. Granted, you may have had to buy those things. You may have had to buy the resources to be able to get these things, but don't sell them to other people. Share with them so that they too can help others, right? And that's the thing about I was telling a friend this, how people do have created content in the all in the name of Yah, but they're selling different things. And it's like, I believe Yahusha said, give freely as you have been given, right? You've been given this wisdom and knowledge and everything freely. Why are you selling it to other people? And it's the same thing here. Buy the truth. Do not sell it. The truth is not something that should be sold. Buy it from somebody else. That's all I have for y'all. Here are some resources. Go ahead and take some screenshots. And in the next video, we will be talking about rich people in the Bible because it is okay to be rich.